So where are you going to finish?
Second?
Yeah,
behind Man City.
Jeez. Whatever he's drinking, I want one.
Yeah, man.
Hello, Gongxi Fa Tai. It's the year of the dragon. But enough about David Moyes. Let's get on with the Yahoo Footballing Weekly podcast, the award-winning podcast with me, Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And Yahoo editor Chia and Keong, Dragon Baby here. So you can guess how old I am.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
48, obviously.
48, yes.
You're not 36,
No,
are you?
not 36.
I thought it was
not
24.
36. No.
That's Jay.
Yeah,
Our
that's
director,
Jay.
yes.
Okay. But we have back with us an old friend and then frequent visitor of this podcast, Daryl.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Hello, Spurs fan.
Hello,
What year-
Spurs fan.
What year are you? What are you? What
You're the
what
dog.
animal?
You're the dog.
Oh, Spurs fan.
Unleashed
Spurs fan.
dog.
It's about right.
Hey, you know what? Now our podcast has similarity. What is the similarity between us and Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher?
Similarity.
Yeah.
We are both winners of the Sports Podcast
Oh,
Awards.
Yes. And Gary
Champions,
Neville actually
huh?
put out a post saying congratulations. So if it's good enough for Gary Neville,
It's good enough for us. Man.
good enough for us.
Yeah.
So thanks again. Making us global award-winning podcast.
Diverse Voices Award category. We got the Silver Award. And thank you all for those who have voted for us during the public voting period. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the producers, the guests, our staff, Yahoo staff.
We get the champions t-shirt.
And Jay,
We're trying to
who
ask
pretends
them-
to listen every week,
We're
but he's
trying
not
to
even
ask the
listening now.
podcast, do y'all have anything to represent it, like a medal or anything? We're
Yeah.
still asking and then they haven't replied yet.
It was diverse voices that made it possible.
That's right.
And we have them on every week, except today. So, no, we love Daryl, Spurs fan. We'll get to Spurs after. But first, we have to start with this travesty. I wore red in celebration of Chinese New Year. But of course, West Ham, Arsenal, the debacle. I have my views. What do you think? Let's start with Arsenal. What do you think?
4-0 at halftime. Eventually 6-0, and Declan Rice scored a 25-meter screamer.
Brilliant goal.
Brilliant goal. Refuses to celebrate like, I'm sorry. But that was as good as a match that Arsenal played this season. I think, well, West Ham made them look pretty good.
That's key.
That is key. And so after this one, and then last week they beat Liverpool 3-1. It's reignited the talk. Can Arsenal also mount another the title charge again? They are very hard to gauge. I mean, Liverpool and Man City is like very obvious. Those two are, they have their team is so good that you know that they'll continue to until the end of the season. But whether Arsenal can last until the end of the season, whether they can last the pace, you know all their weaknesses. They don't have a proven scorer in the team. They don't have the team is not really deep enough compared to Liverpool or Arsenal, Liverpool or Man City. But they're still there, level on points with Man City. How do you think your rival team will carry on for the rest of the season?
Yeah, shocking result at London Stadium.
Not that shocking.
Early.
I'll get to that.
I mean, 4-0 at halftime and then 6-0 at full time. And then you add that they beat Liverpool. So they are back in the title picture, running close with Man City and Liverpool. I think they'll still be there, in after 30 games, 35 games, they'll still be there.
And then they'll crack, and then they'll just improve the last
but because it's not just Arsenal alone, and it's not just Arsenal running away with it, right? It's still Man City and Liverpool fighting for top spot, and then you got Arsenal there, so it's like 3 horses. But these two will probably edge ahead in the last 10 games, 8 games.
You are meeting Man City like end of next month. Would that be the key game, you think?
I think it's another key moment in this title race. This title race seems to be building up to a lot of moments in certain game weeks that come about. I think even if Spurs was to beat Man City, it wouldn't be like the end. It wouldn't be like disaster for Man City. I'm sure Liverpool will drop points.
Yes,
or they have their own tough
true.
games along the way
That is
also.
true.
And Man City may still recover. Yeah.
For me, Arsenal, as I wrote in my column, which you can read here, There's only one way Arsenal are going to win the title. They've got to bluff their way to the title. They've got to take on this method acting Daniel Day-Lewis and actually believe that they are title winners. Declan Rice, the way he was doing the whole...
Do you think Arteta is in that mode
yes,
now?
I do. I actually do. Declan Rice was doing it and Arteta was doing it against Liverpool.
Definitely.
They have to put on an act. It is an act. It's almost as if we bluff hard enough, even we may start to believe it, right? Because they've only got two genuine title-winning pedigree-type players to me, and that's Rice and Saka. They're the only two that could walk into any side in the Premier League. The rest,
Odegaard?
maybe, but they're just on the edge or the fringe is not quite there. So collectively, if they believe they can do it, they may do it because there's still flaws in that team. It was 6 goals against West Ham. It should have been 10. If it was Manchester City, it should have been 10. It would have been 10. So there were still flaws. There were still gaps in attack. They don't have the depth in midfield. Kai Havertz will always be Kai Havertz. So as long as you've got those issues, the flaws remain. Just bluff it out, Arsenal. Just bluff it out. Plenty of this from Declan Rice. Believe it, and who knows?
Yeah, maybe, but okay, you say they can bluff it out for this season, and I hope they can keep doing it.
Well, just because the opposite is, last year, when they didn't bluff it out, they got humbled, they got scared, they got timid, they lost their bottle. Right. So why not, right?
Yeah. But also I feel that, okay, you can bluff your way through, but don't be like resting on your laurels and say, okay, this team, you don't need any improvements. I mean,
of course
for Arsenal and maybe Arteta, you still have to chase for a striker at the season's end. You still have to improve your defense and stuff. I mean, this is not the end product. Definitely not the end product. You have Arsenal. The team must not believe that, we are already challenging for a title. There's not much things we need to do. There's a lot of things they can improve.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying with you. We're agreeing with each other. It's because they have so many flaws in their team that they've got to try and bluff it out. Because that brings me on to West Ham. It's so funny listening to people and watching people talk about West Ham who don't watch them regularly. Obviously, I do for my sins. West Ham are probably the strangest team in the English Premier League right now. The strangest team. Because if you look at it from the outside, they're 8th in the table. They're in Europe for the 3rd, 4th year in a row. Yeah. They could have a top 7 finish for, I think, the 3rd or 4th season in a row, which is the first time ever. And yet you've got fans walking out at halftime
calling for Moyes' trophy last season.
Correct. Why? Because if you're not on the outside, if you're on the inside watching West Ham every week, it is dire. The football is the most cynical, negative, anti-football you can see. There's a fantastic article. I recommend everybody reading it. Barney Ronay in The Guardian talking about David Moyes. Perfectly put. He is the last of that generation who's still playing that way. Even younger managers in the relegation zone, even Nottingham Forest or other teams, even Burnley, or they might lose, but they just don't play like West Ham. They sat back and tried to hit them on the break. But there were no breaks. So they sat back for nearly 2 hours. I mean, it was awful. They've got no one up front other than Bowen. Never mind force 9. West Ham are force 11 players, right? It's the wrong team. It's the wrong lineup. It's the wrong style of play in this age of football. I'm not saying fire Moyes. Let him go to the end of the season. Give him a handshake. Thank you very much. Move on. But anybody who doesn't watch West Ham regularly don't appreciate that it is awful football, and they should have scored twice as many goals, Arsenal. And that's the difference.
I agree with you when you say that, end of the season, maybe Moyes should consider letting Moyes go at the end of the season. I think he should have gone when Rice left, which is last season, because I think he has brought that team as far as he can go, and winning an European trophy is no small feat. But right now the team seems like disinterested. It's like they lost the linchpin of that team in Declan Rice, and you can see how much Declan Rice means to Arsenal, and that's exactly what he meant to West Ham. And sometimes I feel managers have this misconception that yes, I can rebuild a team, but not many people can rebuild a team well.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I agree with that.
So I don't think Moyes is someone who can rebuild a team that well. I think he can bring a middling team, organize it properly, and maybe yes, it's the football is not impressive, but he will get the results and maybe get a European place, and in West Ham case win a European trophy. But if you shouldn't keep him, and if he says I want to rebuild the team.
But last point, I actually think it's a good thing, this sort of re-emergence of fan power since the European Super League. Fans are being much more outspoken, much more vociferous. They want more. West Ham will not get relegated.
Nope.
But when you've got a team that gets 60,000 every week, because they've got one of the best stadiums from the Olympic legacy, right? They get full houses every week. They're not going to get relegated. So what is the purpose of West Ham? Give them something worth watching.
Yeah, like Kai Havertz.
But
what is West Ham?
What is West Ham? Seriously, what is West Ham? They're not, as I say, they won't go down. Right. He plays a weakened team in the cup competitions. That peed off supporters because they're not going to win anything in the league. What's the purpose of West Ham? Let us know. Send all your answers to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Now, before we get to his mob, Tottenham, very briefly, Manchester City. They're going to win the title. I'm saying it right now.
10 wins in a row.
They will coast to the title, and here's why. They were pretty terrible at the weekend. It was against Everton. I watched the game. They were terrible. At no point did I think they were not going to win. At no point. No matter how tedious it got, no matter how defensive it got, I knew it was only a matter of time. You look at their bench, as I talked about with you, Grealish, De Bruyne, Silva, Kyle Walker, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's ridiculous.
And quite simply, here's why. De Bruyne comes on, sets up Haaland, game over.
Yep.
Haaland's getting back to full fitness. If you look at any title winner in any era, but let's just stay with the Premier League era, you need that player to carry you over. Whether it's Eric Cantona in the early days, or Vieira, or then Keane, or then John Terry. You can go right down the list. Frank Lampard, Alisson, Van Dijk. There's always 2 or 3 key players who power you home. Man City have got that in De Bruyne and Haaland. If it's 0-0 and scrappy, never mind. De Bruyne looks up, one pass, Haaland, over. That's it. They're going to win the league.
I will even add that on any given matches, and on any given match, City have a match winner from anywhere. Yeah, last week was Foden hat-trick. Now it's Haaland 2 goals.
Yeah.
It's like next week maybe it's Bernardo Silva. Next week it's KDB.
They're full of
maybe Grealish might come in to make a difference in the game, and that is what you need for a long league season.
Yep.
You get people contributing anywhere. Liverpool maybe they also do have several weapons, but now I mean they're in the process of rebuilding. Although the results are doing well, but you just feel that they don't have that. Anybody can win it, take the reins at one time.
And you also get the impression Man City haven't hit top gear even yet.
Not yet.
I think Arsenal are close to their peak. I don't know how much better they can get. Spurs at times. Liverpool have been close to their peak at times. Man City can still keep going. What do you think?
Because Man City, De Bruyne came back, I think, over the Christmas period. I remember, I think he came back against Newcastle. Newcastle were leading. He came back, they equalised. And then Oscar Bob scored the winner. And like what you say, they have match winners. So they have so many of these players that you can name that will put up a winning performance for them. And Haaland just came back from injury also. It looks like Man City will have enough in the tank to
more than enough
to win the league title. It's just whether how far they go in the Champions League, will the injuries take their toll, and then they are still in the FA Cup. So
that's it.
That's
they're talking again about double treble. I mean, it's never been done. I don't know, but I hope not.
How do you feel about it? I feel like, oh, please don't.
On the one hand, well, I admire great football, and I do admire what Manchester City have done on the pitch. They're great to watch. I do not want them to win the double treble, and I do not want them to win 4 titles in a row. Yeah. And it's not about Manchester City. It's about
the league itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gets boring like German Bundesliga, which we'll get to in a while.
But never mind.
I want them to win.
Why?
Why not? Like when
You
Man
just don't want
United,
Arsenal.
when Man
You
United
just
was
don't
doing
want
this,
Arsenal.
when Man United was doing this in the late 90s and the early 2000s,
They never did this.
They're never as dominant as this.
everyone was like, no, don't let it happen. But
That's a great point. That's a great point, Dal. I can remember writing columns way back for the Straits Times
all but
saying,
United, nothing but United,
ring the
Cams
alarm
and all
bells.
this.
This is a danger. I remember it was around 2001. I think they won their 3rd title in a row. But even then, the margins were much closer between Arsenal. It was then Arsenal predominantly, Man U and Arsenal, and then Man U, Chelsea.
That's why
now it's a chasm.
That's why now there are a lot of Arsenal fans or Liverpool fans because they get sick and tired of Man U winning. During the 90s.
And now they're sick of Man City winning.
Now, that's why Man City don't have that many fans because everybody wants the other team to do well.
But no one's sick of Tottenham. We all love Ange Postecoglou. The honeymoon is still going.
Oh, what a segue, guys.
What a segue. Award-winning segue. Right, here we go. Second half of the season. What do you think?
Yeah, we met you on the first half. We had you in the first half of the season. Now it's in the second half.
I think the first half of the season, it was before the Chelsea game, I think.
Correct.
And then we started to lose a few games, but now it's picked up again. All the injuries have cleared out. The players are back.
Son is back.
Bissouma is back. Sa is back. Scored the equalizer. And the winning goal, it was great to see. It was like all the Sons were involved. Like Madison, Richarlison, and then Son with the cross. And then Johnson.
That was a great goal.
Johnson with the finish. And then sneaked it at the end. I think Brighton played well. They could have easily won the game 1-0 like if they had a few breaks here and there, but we managed to get the 3 points.
How do the fans feel about Ange in Postecoglou? I mean, both of us are fans.
Yeah.
But we're
I think the
from
fans,
the outside. Do the fans like got many minor gripes about him or anything?
I think all the fans love it. Of course, there is some worry or concern about like the bookings, the number of yellow cards, red cards that we accumulate. But most of us understand that it's because you are playing so much on the front foot, you're pushing up your defensive line, you're trying to win the ball back further up, that we are at the moment able to understand and accept the suspensions that come along. Yeah, but we're loving it.
So where are you going to finish?
Second?
Yeah,
behind Man City.
Jeez. Whatever he's drinking, I want one.
Yeah, man.
I can't see second. All right, we'll see. Well, speaking of someone else who's not going to win any trophies.
Terrible.
You're the best at segue, man.
Harry Kane.
Oh, man.
What about the jinx of Harry Kane? And more importantly, how do Spurs fans feel about it? Is there a bit of sort of, karma, or do they feel sorry for the guy? Just to recap, Leverkusen.
I mean, Bayern, when Kane went to Bayern, everyone thought, they're going to stroke another.
I remember when he joined Bayern, he had to play in like the German Cup or the German Super
and he
Cup.
didn't score straight
and he
away.
didn't score and he lost, and we were like, oh, okay, at least he didn't win like a trophy immediately. It was fine. But we thought like, okay I'm sure he will win the Bundesliga, right? Yeah. But even then, it's not going to happen. Like now they lost to Leverkusen.
3-0 to Bayer Leverkusen, top of the table.
So the gap's widened.
It was like an evisceration of Bayern. But Leverkusen was just killing them on. I think Bayern didn't even have a shot on goal, if I'm not wrong.
You're so excited. Your next manager, boss. That's why he's so excited. He's his next manager.
I hope you win the
He wants him
league.
at Liverpool.
Wins the league. I said, I've done enough for Leverkusen. I'm not going to go for a new challenge.
Oh, dear. So how do Spurs fans feel about the Kane thing? Any sympathy?
No, not really. I think it's because Spurs are doing well also. Like the whole team is refreshed, right? And then we see Kane. Like all the best to him. Obviously, we hope like he wins, but if he doesn't win the Bundesliga, then we don't know what's in the water or like what's up with Kane or Eric Dyer not being able to win a trophy. But they've still got Champions League, so
they won't win that. All right, let's move on. African Cup of Nations. What a story. Ivory Coast on home soil wins the trophy against all the odds. Changed managers, changed lineups.
Midway through the tournament.
Right? Yeah, so what did you make of it?
It's the ultimate FU to the coach.
Yeah.
The coach is like a French, 70-year-old Frenchman, Gasset, if I'm not wrong. And I think the whole team couldn't. I'm sure he fell out with the whole team. The whole team played terribly in the group stages. Lost 4-0 to Equatorial Guinea. It's like, what the hell happened to Ivory Coast? And then they sacked him and said, okay, that's the end of the tournament. They probably will come out. Then they luckily, very, very fortunately, they managed to sneak in to the last 16. And from then onwards, it's just wins and wins, all gritty wins, yes, but still winning.
Yeah.
And then in the final also, they were 1-0 behind and to Nigeria and still pull out a 2-1 win.
The winner was
the ultimate middle finger to the coach who didn't coach them well, I think.
And the winner was scored by Sebastian Haller, is
Sebastian Haller.
Yeah. Former West Ham, huh?
West Ham, former Dortmund.
Look, England... West Ham won the World Cup for England in 1966.
Here we go.
More Hurst and Peters. And now West Ham have indirectly won the African Cup of Nations through Sebastian Haller. Just putting out there, he scored the winner. But it's a great story. It is a great story. They finished 4th out of the 4th place qualifies. You're the ones who had to qualify, right?
place qualifies.
Third place
Yeah.
qualifies. That's right. They finished 4th of 4 of the best third placed qualifiers. They only just got in, just snuck in. Like you said, they lost in the group stages, lost their coach. It's just a brilliant story.
Yes,
it's
it
it's
is.
a brilliant story.
Which is why a lot of people saying like African Cup of Nation. There's no way you can predict the winner. It's like there's so many factors that is so random. There's just suddenly one team will just suddenly becomes hits form, and then even sacks his coaches and still doesn't derail them. It's like amazing.
And just a little note to Singapore. I'll talk about this more in part 2, but we often talk about lack of facilities, lack of infrastructure. Ivory Coast was in a civil war 13 years ago. Now they're the African champions.
Amazing.
So, yeah. But let us know what you think, as always. Right, EPL predictions. Let's wrap up with this. Manchester City against Chelsea. What do we think? Big game.
Big game of the big money, the clubs. But
I thought you were going to say something else, then.
yes, I almost. But I think Man City going to stroll it 3-0.
But what I like about this game, Chelsea, bit of a resurgence. And Man City needs a good test. I want the best Man City.
I hope they give them a good test. But
like we said just now, they're in second, third gear. I want the real best Man City. So I want Chelsea to really push them. Really push them.
I hope so. But
it should be a good game.
I still don't see them winning.
No, I don't. Score?
3-0.
2-2.
I think it'll be a bit closer. I go with 2-1. Good game this week. Tricky ones. Burnley against Arsenal.
Oof.
The kind of banana skin in the past where the Gunners slip.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I felt as well. I mean, Burnley didn't play badly against Liverpool, even though they lost. And, you know, at home, they could easily trouble Arsenal if they, you know, frustrate them for long periods of time. And, you know, Arsenal, like we said, no proven scorer. They'll have to work hard to break down the Burnley defense. And if they couldn't break down, you can see a 0-0, I can see a 1-1.
Pick one.
0-0.
I think this would have been a banana skin under like Sean Dyche in the Burnley area, but
now
now
Kompany,
under
man.
Vincent Kompany, it will be easy for Arsenal. I think Arsenal going to win 3-0.
Wow.
I think Arsenal 2-0. Right, last one. Here's Mob, Spurs against Wolves. Wolves are resurgent. Another West Ham connection. Gary O'Neill played for the Hammers, doing a fantastic job as manager of Wolves. Really good to watch, good attacking players. This is not an easy game.
Nope.
Yeah, not an easy game, but Spurs at home. Spurs will be attacking. I think Spurs 4, Wolves 2. 4-2.
Wow.
Are you feeling all right? All right, okay.
That's NG ball for you.
All right, okay,
4-0.
maybe. Go on.
Yeah, I think a 2-0 win will be more realistic. 2-0 win.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-2. Just for the hell of it. I fancy Wolves. They're a good side. 2-2. What do you think this weekend's predictions? Send all of your comments, predictions to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Thank you, Daryl, as always, for coming on.
All right, guys.
Yep.
He'll be with us in part 2, where we're going to get
2.
stuck into Singapore football, where there are big changes afoot for the Singapore Premier League next season. Do stay with us in part 2. We'll see you again soon.
See you.